Talk more about the drone sightings in Paris. I'm joined by Morris Davis. He's a former chief prosecutor for the U.S. military commissions at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. He's currently a law professor at Howard University here in Washington, D.C. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
You know, in France, you need a license to operate a drone, or you face a one-year prison sentence and a big fine. But a few weeks ago, we saw a drone land on the White House lawn here in Washington, D.C. So how difficult is it to regulate the use of drones? Who gets one? When do you get to use it?
Well, this is emerging technology, so it's a field where we're still feeling our way around, trying to strike the right balance between security and innovation. As you know, like Amazon wanted to use drones to deliver packages. There are others that argue, like the incident at the White House, that the security threat that it poses. So striking the balance between the two is the real challenge. The FAA has some new guidelines that they have proposed that haven't been implemented yet that tries to strike the right balance. Some people are happy with them, some are disappointed, but as the incident in Paris shows that, this is, it's a today threat that you can't just ignore.
Well, and different countries will have different laws, different regulations. Is this an issue that governments are now starting to worry about, especially when it comes to how easy it is to acquire a drone? I mean, you could order one online.
Right.
A lot of them are for hobbyists, some of them for journalists.
Right. Yeah, you can't, Amazon won't deliver a package with a drone, but you can order a drone off of Amazon. So, for $99, any person can acquire a drone. And, the ones that you can buy, for the amateur hobbyist is fairly limited. I think from what I've read, I think like about 5 pounds is about the maximum payload that you get out of one of these. But it's, again, 5 pounds of bad material can do some real damage. And how do we regulate this? They're difficult to track because of their small size. You've seen the incidents at airports, where commercial aircraft have been at some risk of these amateur drones flying around. So. I think it's imperative that we do have some regulations and begin to get a handle on this. And at least the FAA proposal seems to be a reasonable, set of guidelines that will at least get us started on this new technology.
Or will we see guidelines like you cannot fly them in places where aircraft is restricted, it won't come into contact with an airplane? Because, we have security concerns,
right,
but we have concerns for the general public as well. And how do you really get one down unless you perhaps shoot it down?
Yeah, some friends of mine were going to have a drone war, and they proposed doing it on the National Mall. And the FAA got wind of it and said, au contraire, you're not doing that here. And they had to go out in the country to do it. The proposed FAA guidelines would limit, you can't be within 5 miles of an airport, a 500-foot ceiling on altitude. The drone would have to be within line of sight of the operator. Those are great rules. The practicality is that, with an iPhone, you have the ability with Wi-Fi technology, GPS, the camera on the drone, the operator doesn't necessarily have to be within line of sight. So assuming people comply with the rules, that would be great, but as you know, there's going to be somebody that's going to operate outside those rules.
Well, the great thing about a drone is it can get to places where you cannot see, people want to get to. So do you think we'll see a day where businesses or corporations will have to either obtain a license, a special license to fly a drone? Because, you have production companies, you have journalists who want to use them for their field of work to get these shots, movie makers probably.
Right. Yeah, I think one of the other networks here in the DC area is proposing using drone technology. So it offers a lot of potential. There's some, I think drones got a bad name just because their initial entry into the public discussion was as a weapon system. But there are a lot of other good things that drones can do beside that. So I think there may be a time where for commercial application will require some type of license and a regulatory scheme different than your amateur hobbyist who just wants to buzz around his own house with the drone for fun.
All right. Colonel Morris Davis, we appreciate your time. Thank you, as always, for joining us here on the show.